Hi, I'm Sarah from Starkville Daily News, and this is Andy Harkness. He is a Disney animator, and he graduated from Starkville High School in 1991. So you're in town this week, and tell us about your trip.
We are on an epic 6-week family road trip, so national vacation style. And I've got a 2-year-old and an 8-year-old, and the car is getting very small, and we've got a week and a half left. This was really the first stop that we, when we started planning this trip, this is where we knew we wanted to come. My dad lives here in Starkville, and we moved here when I was about 12 years old, 1984, and I was here through senior in high school, and then I headed off to college, and I still very much consider this home. And this is where everything that was really important in my youth and childhood happened right here in this town. So that's why I'm here.
Okay. So, what's your journey been like since you graduated from going from Starkville to Disney?
Well, I got a scholarship to the Columbus College of Art and Design in Ohio, and I went up there right after I graduated. I headed up to Ohio and had 2 amazing years. It was really good foundation drawing and painting and things that would really help me later on in my career. After sophomore year, I just really missed home. I missed my friends, I missed my parents and the pond where I fished in, and I wanted to come home. And I came home, and it was a little, I would say 5-6 months of being a little lost. I worked night shift in Sack and Save. I don't know if you guys remember that store. It's long gone now. And I drew a lot out in South Farm. I had a job on South Farm, building fences and things like that, and then I'd go and draw as I was doing that. And after about 5 or 6 months of just floating a little bit, a friend of mine who was still at school let me know about an internship at Disney that was happening. And this was just before Lion King was about to be released, maybe 8 months before. And they were ramping up. They had 3 or 4 internships a year, 17 people in each internship, and I worked as hard as I could in my portfolio on my own here, and just tried to improve it as well as I could with everything I had, and sent it in. And after about 2 months, I found out that I got the internship at Disney, and that was in the fall of '93. So it was a little over 2 years after I left here. And with the exception of being at Sony Pictures in California for 2 years, I've been with Disney ever since, and it's been really a great ride.
That's awesome. So, tell me about your art style. You did sculpture for your book, didn't you? Mm-hmm. What kind of art style do you like the most?
That's a very good question. I've never, when I figure that out, I'll tell you. That has always been something that I think it's maybe a lack of patience, really. I can't do one thing for too long. It started off photoreal. I copied my uncle's a photographer in Detroit, and I used to copy his photographs, and that's a lot of my work in high school was just using his photographs as a base and starting from there. And then I got into watercolor and mixed media and all kinds of things. I never could stick to one thing. In fact, on my junior year of high school, I went to New York City, and I interviewed at several different art colleges up there just to see. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I went to one school called Cooper Union, which is a really great school in New York City. And their review of my work was that they said, "We love your work, but we really are looking for people that have a consistent art style." And I thought, oh my gosh, even Picasso was still figuring out his style, later in life, and I just couldn't imagine that, locking it down. And later on in my job as an art director, my job now is to be very versatile in art style. So it paid off. It really, my stubbornness, I think, my lack of patience paid off down the road. So the Ballad of Nessie was a short that I worked on that was in the style of 1930s animation, and Moana was much more realistic style. Crepin Landing had its own style, and so I find that really, really fun. And the clay approach, I'm very much in the middle of that and still discovering it. I'm working on another book right now that I think has advanced the technique a little bit, but I think probably in 3 or 4 years I'll be ready for something else.
That's neat. So, you were an art director for Moana, right? Mm-hmm. So you said yesterday, whenever you were speaking at the library, that you had to fight to get to positions where you wanted. How has your perseverance during just in your career helped you get where you are?
I think as a younger fella in the industry, I always thought that everyone was watching out for me. You know, that this guy's going, and he's going to be okay, and we'll give him this promotion and this kind of thing. Where, you know, most of the time people are busy doing their thing. You know, they're not necessarily focused on one artist that just got in the door or what they're doing. And so I realized that at some point. I realized I can't wait for them to ask me to do this. So I asked my boss, can I go for this promotion along with these other guys? Can I try it? And he said, sure. You know, I think a big hurdle was getting over the idea that it was personal. You know, and just my ego, just getting that out of the way, and realizing that anybody can have the opportunity if they want to. In fact, I know that if everyone quit after their first failure, I would not be in that job now. A lot of people, you know, and I've been there too, will struggle with something and then fail and then say maybe it's not for me, as opposed to taking the notes and improving and turning it around and continuing. So that's a really big thing, I think. And as I've gotten older, I've grown up more, I think, you know, not totally, but I'm getting better and better at that. So I hope that answered the question.
So, are you planning to make any more books, or what's your next step?
I have 2 more books. I just signed on with a book agency in California, which is great because you can give them an idea and they'll start helping you really guide it toward a particular publisher and help sell it. I have 1 book I'm working on with my dad, and he wrote it from kind of a magical childhood experience that he had. He wrote the story out for his first granddaughter. It's my niece, and I found it, and it wasn't meant to be, you know, shown other than to her, but I found it. Like, we're going to make this book, Dad. It's so good. So the writing is beautiful, and so I'm waiting to hear feedback right now from an agent on that. And the other one that's probably a little farther along is one called Wolf Boy, that will be all black and white, a little macabre, a lot of fun. It's a fun story of a little werewolf. So those are in progress right now.
So, do you have anything to say to inspiring artists? Any experiences to share?
You know, I think the biggest thing is to always remember to really ask yourself before you set off in a career doing it, do you really love it? You know, does it bring you joy and happiness, and can you imagine yourself doing anything else? Because those are the things that will be really important to fall back on. Just the love for art in your career, 20, 30 years into your career, and you have some bad days here and there, even bad years, to remember that you really just love to draw, and it all boils down to that. And to always, if things do get tough, if you do get rejected, or if there's no instead of before there's a yes, just to bring it back to the basics and keep drawing and keep working on that skill. That's the biggest thing.
Thank you so much for talking with me.
You're welcome. No problem.
It's good to have you home.
Thank you, Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.